Welcome to Empowering You with Cynthia Fontaine, where your transformation begins. This isn't just a show, it's your invitation to unlock personal power and trust your inner wisdom. Each episode, I'll guide you to release what holds you back and reconnect with the truth already inside you. Because when you align with your intuition, everything changes. You didn't find this by accident. You're ready. Let's begin.
Hey everyone, welcome to Empowering You with me, Cynthia Fontaine. I'm so happy that you're here. And I want to give a shout out to everybody who watched the show. Thank you so much. Please leave a great comment if you enjoy the show, and also give us some questions so that I can answer your questions on air. And so we're going to do things a little bit different today in a sense where I'm going to cover a couple of different topics, which I usually do anyway. But let's start with a little bit of grounding, shall we? So I'm just going to give the crystal ball a little tap. Take a deep breath wherever you are. And just allow the bowl to vibrate through your body. Just letting all your worries and cares of the day float away on the sound of the bowl. Let your shoulders relax and drop. Allow all the muscles in your face to relax. And let that relaxation go all the way through your entire body, letting your muscles relax and elongate. And take another deep breath in. And notice how just in that couple of maybe 30 seconds you feel differently. Because grounding doesn't take long, and it's so important these days because things are being thrown at us so quickly, it's impossible to keep up. And I don't know if you have found that, if you are somebody who sort of dives into current events, and if you are watching what's going on with the government and in the news and in the media and all that, it becomes so overwhelming that sometimes you have to take a step back. And for me, the last couple of months, I have taken a step back, and I'm really selective about who I'm listening to, where I'm listening, and when I'm listening. So I'm going to give you a couple of recommendations to help you better stay grounded in this chaotic period of time that we have. Because things are getting ready to hit the fan, right? You think things have been moving fast the last year, year and a half, 2 years. Things are going to speed up even more. And so we're going to need more self-awareness of how we're feeling, of what's going on around us in our environment, and also discernment of cutting things out of our environment, right? And sometimes that can mean people too. So if you have somebody that gets you charged up, that likes to start arguments, I have a couple of relatives who have different views than I do, different beliefs, and they like to start dropping little nuggets and start arguments. They want to get into the argument, and then they call foul when you give them information back. Because I'm a fact person. I like to research. I like to know the facts. I have a lot of questions all the time. Sometimes it drives people around me crazy. But I really am a person who feels that I want to know what I'm talking about before I talk about it. And so I do a lot of research. And so when these particular relatives come with things that aren't backed by actual proof or facts, and then I give them the proof or facts, they don't really like it. And so it's interesting because then they call foul, right? When you fact them, and then it can turn into something bigger than it really needs to be, because it doesn't matter how many facts you give people. When people have a mindset that they believe one way, you're not going to be able to fact them to change their minds. Okay, and so what I do now is I use a technique, I may have talked about it before on the show, where when one particular relative brings something up and then says, well, doesn't that bother you? And I answer honestly, and and I'll say, no, not really. She's got nowhere to go with that, right? Because where do you go with it if I say what she's bringing up doesn't bother me? There's really no place for her to go. Or if she'll bring something else up, I'll say, oh, well, that's interesting. I'll check that out. I'll go research it. And that diffuses the whole situation. It takes the fire out of it, right? Because it got to the point with some of these relatives where we didn't want to see each other anymore. I definitely didn't want to see them, but yet they're close relatives. So you feel bad about leaving them out of family things. And so I knew they weren't going to change. So I had to find some ways that were going to change the situation to help, in a way, them change, because now they have nothing to come back at. So there's a couple of phrases I really like. One is, that's interesting. Another is, oh, let me look into that. I'll check that out. And if something doesn't bother you that they're bringing up or talking about, because there's a lot of heated topics right now out there, from politics to religion to gender to everything, right, that is being thrown at us. So there's a lot of areas that can get heated up. And so again, if it doesn't trigger me, I say, no, it doesn't really bother me, right? And so that disperses the energy, okay? So now, say for example, you do get into some kind of elevated conversation with somebody. You don't want to just leave it afterwards. It's all said and done. Whether it's at your house or at a party, if it's at somebody else's house, obviously there's nothing you can do there at the other person's house. But you want to be sure that you then take the time, once the situation cools down, people go home or you go home, you take a minute to ground yourself. Again, that at the beginning took maybe 30 seconds, right? So you want to ground yourself. You want to release any emotions or any feelings of upset that you're feeling. Just release it. Every breath in, you're breathing in, and on the breath out, you're just releasing anything that's not yours, that you don't need, anything that you picked up from other people. You just release it on the out breath. And imagine that, it's goes out into the universe, and then it's processed for another day. I learned something really interesting that sort of goes along with that. This is a little bit of science, where when you garden, your DNA actually becomes part of the soil. Because when we garden, and well, if you're wearing rubber gloves, of course, then maybe not so much, but I like to get my hands in the dirt. And I recommend that you do too, unless, of course, if you have some autoimmune disease or something where you can't, then don't. But if you're able to, get your hands in the dirt. Get your hands in the dirt, because that's a really fast way to ground also. And how it works when we garden, we get our hands in the soil, we're digging the soil, we're planting things, we're picking things, we're nipping things, right? Our skin particles go into the dirt, and then the dirt takes those particles and it processes them, and we actually become part of the soil. The soil then has our DNA in it. So I thought that was a pretty fascinating fact. And so when you are breathing out or letting go of things that don't belong to you, just know that the universe, the earth, Mother Earth, is in its own way then taking that information, taking those feelings, and it's going to turn it into something new and different, right? And so I thought that was pretty fascinating about the soil. And I'm going to pick a card. Oh, well, hold on, my cards are here. Usually I have them right on the table. I'm going to pick a card. I haven't picked a card yet before we started the show. So let's pick a card together and see what Spirit wants to share with us today, and it doesn't matter what day you see the show. It can be 6 months from now. Just know that the card will be applicable at that particular time, okay? So what do we need to know? Oh, one just flipped out of the deck, so I'm going to read that. It's called a jumper as a secondary card. Let's see, what wants to come out? They all want to come out today. Here we go. Oh, soulmates. So this I'm going to work right into the conversation about, I'm just going to pick up this card that fell down, about how sometimes a soulmate is the person that pushes us to the limit. They make us grow in ways like those couple of relatives that I have, that where I've had to learn different ways to do things, right? To save the relationship and to feel better about myself in general. And so a soulmate, people often get this mixed up. They often get it confused, where a soulmate isn't someone necessarily who you fall madly in love with and the relationship is so wonderful and everything. That can happen, yes. We have different kinds of soulmates. And a soulmate isn't someone who is meant always for you to be with you for a whole lifetime. Sometimes a soulmate is just here for an hour. It can even be 5 minutes, and they say something that profounds you so immensely that it changes you on a deep level somehow. That's really a soulmate. A soulmate is made to change you, to somehow make you better in ways, right? And the card that fell out of the deck is Come to the Edge. I really like this card, and I love the two cards together. Come to the Edge is just what it says, just what it sounds like. You're right on the precipice of something new. You're ready, right? You're right on the edge of jumping into something unknown. And so when we put the two together, right, take those moments that you can recall, and maybe soulmate will be coming for you, you know, after you see this show. It could be, again, it can be the day, it can be somebody that stays with you for years and years. They're going to push you to the edge. And isn't it interesting how the card reflects exactly what I was talking about and sharing? Soulmates can push you to the edge, right? But we can look at the edge two ways. We can look at it like a double-edged sword. It can be good, it can be bad. We can, when we look at it as an opportunity to grow, to expand, to learn how to do things in a new way, then it can really help us, right? Because really, we're here for soul growth. That's what we're here for. And so, so as our soul expands and grows, then we'll do things differently moving forward every time that something shifts, okay? So I want to go back to the last show, because I realized after watching the last show, Jeannie Bundy was a special guest on, and we talked a lot about vows. We talked about money and ceilings of money and how all of us have a built-in money ceiling. But we also talked about vows, and I realized I didn't actually explain what a vow is. So I want to give you some background about that so that you understand what I was referring to, we were referring to when we were talking about vows. Because it's not like a wedding vow, although in a way it kind of is. So when you do your vows, right, you get married, you say your vows, I promise to, love, hold, whatever, right? You might write your own vows. That's a contract in a way. You're making a vow to honor that other person. So long before we're old enough to ever be married, we make vows within ourselves. So I'm using that as a comparison so you can understand what a vow is, Okay, so a vow is something that you promise to always or never. I'll always love you to the end of time. I'll never see you again. So there's the always and the never. I'll always be like my grandmother because she was so kind. I'll never be like my mother because she was an awful person, right? So see how the always and never works? So as we're growing up in our families wound us in the perfect way to get us on our life path. Now, when I say that, sometimes that triggers people because it's a loaded statement, right? When you add that to each one of us chooses our family before we decide to come down and encapsulate this body, we choose our families. And we choose the families who are gonna wound us in the perfect way to get us on our life path so that our soul has the opportunity to grow in the way that we planned on it in this particular lifetime or incarnation. Now, I've worked with a lot of people doing past life regressions. So personally, I believe that we have multiple opportunities to be here on the earth. I've been regressed by the best, Dr. Brian Weiss. I'm actually certified through the Weiss Institute as a past life regressionist. And so with all the evidence that I have working with people over the years, I truly believe that we have lots of opportunities to come here, to expand, to learn, to grow. Now, sometimes we choose a lifetime that is a difficult one, like I chose for this particular one. And sometimes that is we choose a difficult lifetime so that we have the most soul growth. Sometimes we choose a difficult lifetime because we're repaying some kind of karma from a past lifetime. So there can be two different angles on that if you are a person who's had sort of a difficult time in this life. And when I say difficult, I don't mean, so where maybe you're having trouble making ends meet. That is difficult, yes. But where you've had some really big things in your life, an unusual amount of things in your life, where I've had lots of crazy things that I don't want to go into too much detail, but it started at a young age where, for one thing, I used to get locked in closets. So, but I'd forgotten that. I totally blanked it out of my mind. And it came up one day when I was on the healing table getting a Reiki session. I went back into a spontaneous memory. And I had been claustrophobic my whole life. I had no idea why. Well, that could have been a reason. And so the different kinds of healing work that we can do to help us with these big things that we've had in our life can be so beneficial. And there's so much out there, from Reiki to past life regression, to color light therapy, to quantum touch, to emotion code. There's lots and lots of methods out there that you can use, you can try to see what works for you. So let's go back to the vow a little bit. So when I said I was going to be always like my grandmother because she was so good, right? And never be like my mother because she wasn't so nice, that is true for me. I had a very difficult relationship with my mother, and I never understood it because there were 5 of us growing up, 5 kids, but I seemed to be singled out of the 5 kids. My mother was extra mean to me, and it wasn't until after she had passed away, I had gone to a psychic mediumship event that my teacher actually did in Massachusetts. And I was sitting in the back row. I had all my students there. We took up like 2 rows in the back of the event space. And I sat in the back because I didn't want to draw attention, because out of respect. So she would have the opportunity to work with other people. And the last person, the last reading she's going to do, she's walking across the stage with her head down, holding the microphone. And she says, I have a horse here, a black and white horse. And as soon as she said that, I knew. She walks across the stage, stops right in front of the row where I'm standing. I just got the truth bumps, the God bumps. stops right in front of the row, looks up at me and says, "This is your mother." And I went, "Oh, blank, blank, blank." You can fill in the words. I was completely shocked. And what came out of her mouth was, you never understood what happened or why that she was the way that she was with you. She didn't apologize, but she wanted me to know that it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. So one thing that really stayed with me after when my mom passed away was she told all of the other kids that she loved them, but not me, on her deathbed. And so she came to sort of explain why I was different in the group. Part of it is because I am different, right? I'm a psychic. She didn't know what to do with that, in one sense, because her mother had this gift, and her sister also, but her sister took it down a really dark path, which we'll talk about another day, because that's a whole show in itself. And so know that not only do we come in with these agreements, right? We choose our families. They've also chosen us to come into the family. So they have their own issues that they have to work through, that they're working on, and we have our own issues that we have to work on. And so the point when your life sort of, will say, the crap hits the fan, and maybe your life falls apart, maybe you're getting divorced, or you lose a home, or there's an accident or something, then we really have to take the moment and start looking at ourselves and how we can change and what path that we're on, right? And so don't wait for those big moments in time, right? Start working on yourself now. Think about, where do I say I'll always or I'll never? I'll always be like that, or I'll never be like this, right? I'll always do it this way and I'll never do it that way. Because you're cutting off half of your energy when we always or never. Again, that's what, when I say vow, that's what I mean. A vow is, we'll always do this, or we'll always be like that, or I'll never do this, or I'll never be like that. So you get it? It's kind of simple when you think about it. Now the work is up to you. Now it's up to you to start uncovering, what vows do you have? Who are the vows with? One vow that I had that I've talked about before, I'm pretty sure in one of the shows, is I was always going to love everybody. Well, I'm a charismatic leader. I'm not here to love everybody on the planet. I'm here, I have a huge heart, and I give, and I love a lot of people, but I'm here to move people on the planet. I'm not here to be the sweet, loving mother or grandmother or the school teacher in first grade that I had, like Mrs. Sisson, who was wonderful, right? And so I didn't know that until I was almost 50 years old. And so no matter what your age is now, it's time for you to start understanding who you are. Really, it really is. So I'm so happy that you're here with me. Keep with it. Keep coming back. Please share this with your friends. Follow the social media channels as well. And look on the station for other shows that you might find of interest. You know, Jeannie B, who comes on the show, she's got her own channel called Fun with Art. You might like that. If you've got kids or grandkids, I totally recommend you go check that out. But again, find some other shows here and share them. This coming up, this next year and a half, we're down at only 3 minutes, is going to be really chaotic. We think it's been chaotic up to this point. It's going to get worse. So find community, find things that you love to do, build relationships. That is going to be the key to get through this next 18 months, okay? Really learn about yourself, and then find like-minded people and build community. That's gonna be probably one of the most important things that you can do over this next 18-month period. June was pretty quiet. We're recording this show in June 2026. Whether you might see it sometime in the future. This was a pretty quiet month, but things are getting ready to hit the fan starting in July, right? So do your grounding. If you've gotten into a situation that is, a little tumultuous, make sure that you clear yourself afterwards. You can, if you have a bowl, you can use a crystal bowl. You can just take a shower, right? And put your clothes immediately in the wash. So if you've ever had an instance where you've had an argument or something with someone, put your clothes right in the wash, take a shower. That helps to clear it off because water is a conduit and it helps to clear. Get in the pool if it's summertime where you're at. Go in the ocean, right? Salt water is fabulous, one of the best things that you can do. If you're not near a source of water, or if it's down under, it's wintertime, you then can create your own water, right? You can do a spray with salt and water. I use distilled water just because it's cleaner. It doesn't have the impurities in it. And you can mix a little rose water in there if you want. You can make your own clearing spray, okay? I have a special clearing spray formula, but you can make your own. Pick your favorite essential oils and make your own spray. Make sure you put some salt in it because that really helps a lot for clearing. And so again, I want to thank you. And if you'd like to be on the show, if you are in the world of woo, holistic, if you are a Reiki practitioner or an astrologer, and you're local to Rhode Island or nearby Massachusetts and want to come on the show and play with me, please email us or call and leave a message at the station, and I'd love to see if you're a good fit for the show. I'm really excited about this new year coming in. We've got a new management team, and we're going to be doing some new things. So again, please follow the channel on YouTube. If you're seeing this on TV, go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, follow us, like us, turn your notifications on, and then share it with your friends. Thank you again so much for being part of my world. For my regular watchers out there, thank you. I appreciate you so much. And say hi in the comments. And again, let me know what you want me to talk about next. Have a great week or great month until I see you next time. And be well, be kind, be peaceful. Thank you so much.